Righto, Philip. Just finished it was a short week, but I mean, it was a big week. Yeah, I know. Just told not to go grab for the cups.
Yeah,
You're going to go for it anyway. A short week, big week up at Muriwai. Man, that place is looking awesome.
Yeah, come along, eh?
Can you give us a run through of what's really been going up there?
Well, what, the last couple of years, or?
Yeah, let's give us the go to woe. There'll be quite a few people that don't even know there's anything happening out there.
Well, we got going. Jeepers! It's feels like it's about 2022. So, what's that? 4 years ago.
It didn't feel like that was that long ago. That I was out there taking drone shots of holes through the Magumbi, but
2022, and I guess the club were looking at doing some improvements on the course. They had Pete, who worked for us down at Tieki, Pete Zalingo, now architect and shaper working for ACM in the States.
He's also done the courses up north.
Yeah, worked on the Taraiti and Te Aroa and those courses. So Pete had done a report for the course in 2021, and it was little bits of improvement here and there, and without a really defined scope, I guess. And so he suggested that maybe the club talk to me after he took off back to the States. And so for the first 18 months, it was developing a master plan that addressed some of their course's shortcomings, and then looked to try and seize a few opportunities. Some of those opportunities were going back 30 odd years and having a look at where some of the old holes used to be and could we recapture some of those things. And so when Harry Middleton has the Tassie Devil, when he got appointed superintendent, which is just over 2 years ago, we kicked things into gear as far as implementation is concerned, and it's just slowly chipped away at things. We said to the board, give us a couple of holes to work with and see what we can do. And so the first couple of holes were the first and the ninth, and it was about rearranging the bunkering.
Was that always the obvious choice? Like, why the first and the ninth?
Well, right in front of the clubhouse, close by. They made it easy to move some turf around, and they were easy to work on in tandem right next door to each other. But then they were front and centre as well, and so we wanted to show the membership what we were up to and what we were doing, and then also for the board to look out the window and go, okay, we can kind of see the picture. So that involved taking down a handful of Norfolk pines, opening up the view to the southwest, and volunteers got after it with clearing out the dune that's to the right of the first hole and revealing all of that. And that was just covered in scrub and rubbish and junk, and so it was a fair bit of periphery work that was done. We rearranged the bunkers on the first, and then Harry and I had the vision that from a links course standpoint, it really didn't play like it, and so we needed to improve the surrounds significantly. And so he sowed out that bottom range, about 4,500 squares into Brown Top.
I'm very familiar with that range now.
Not a bad nursery. Most clubs have, if they've got a nursery, it's, a couple of hundred squares, but 4,500 squares. So got after that, we ripped out a whole heap of turf, a little bit of minor shape correction here and there on the surrounds, and wanted them to play more links-like. And so, the first couple of holes were very, very light touch.
I was going to say, the first and the ninth to me didn't feel like they were bad holes. There was a couple of trees in play, or bush and shrubbery that kind of shrouded maybe some of the natural contours and shapes and other beauty that was there, but it didn't feel like they were bad holes by any sense.
No, they weren't the holes that needed a whole heap of work. So I guess from a light touch standpoint and from a bit of a trial run, it was easy for us to...
Also speed of execution.
Yeah, albeit, there's a fair bit of work that goes into what was done. It didn't look like it was much, but it was a fair bit of elbow grease went into that over the course of five days.
I mean, I just spent 4 days out there.
Yeah.
I'm more leading towards the fact that Hazza and the team just get it done so quickly.
Yeah, they get into it. Yeah, the boys just amazing how Harry's kind of organised his schedule so that when it comes project time, he's got the golf course to the point where it doesn't need daily upkeep, and he can throw just about maximum resources to the project. So that was how we got started. We have since done the 10th hole where we redid the tees and took down 15 Norfolk pines, created some dunes down the right hand side in the open expanse, rearranged the bunkering up by the green, filled in some of the sunken area, added a little back portion to the green, redid the pathing around the back of the green. And so it was a mix of, function and form that we were addressing. We got into the 8th hole, we've built a new putting green, and then this year, around to 2026, mid-2026, we got into the 3rd and 2nd holes the last few weeks.
Yeah, geez. It's the first time I've come up there and seen what you did to the 3rd hole, and that was it always there, that sort of natural sort of scratchings, like you say, that sort of erosion sort of thing. Did you always see it? Because I didn't.
Yeah, I kind of saw that sort of thing in different areas around the golf course. Maybe not to that extent at the 3rd. We scratched around a little bit on the 8th, and that's if there's a hole that people refer to as the quintessential Muriwai hole, it's probably the 8th, the par 3, playing down towards the water and out to the view. And don't touch that hole. It's that's awesome. I think it always makes me laugh when people say don't touch that hole. It's like, well, can it be better?
Yeah.
I know it's great, but can it be better?
Yeah.
And so the bunkering was just haphazard there, and we had the big cart path running right through the middle of the fairway, and there's a left tee over there that had been abandoned, and we wanted to readdress that and bring that back. And then the circulation down by the green just wasn't working at a dead Pahutakawa tree that was, everyone was too scared to cut it down where it was dead. And so, just cleaned up the hole and put a back left portion of the green, added that on, which connected the hole to the little island out just off the Muriwai beach, and rearranged the cart path. And that was where we kind of scratched open some dirt. Greg kind of got in there, and with no real plan per se, it was just like, let's scratch a little bit open. The turf's all a bit, it's outside of irrigation, and so the grass doesn't grow much. It's really exposed to the southwesterly breeze. So reason why there's not much turf cover there is because of the wind erosion that's constantly beating on that fairway. And so we thought, let's tear a bit of turf off and just see how it matures. And in a really short period of time, we quite like how that sort of feature would complement what we were doing and probably enhance the authenticity of the golf course. The front nine being so young, and that was done in the late 90s when the council wanted the club to abandon some of the new holes, the old holes that were in the dunes, and build a new nine, which was built relatively cheaply for the time, and quickly, and it was just a different era of golf when the holes were built. And so what we've been trying to do is address some of the shortcomings, some of the things that when that was done in the 90s, they couldn't imagine doing the number of rounds that they're doing now, that Muriwai would be as popular as it is nowadays. And the golf course was showing a bit of that wear and tear. And probably...
Is that a lot to do with also the sort of ergonomics? Because obviously you talk about trying to make a hole obviously be as best as it can be, like architecturally designed, but also ergonomically in terms of play.
Yeah, the function part of it, there's some areas the function wasn't working. And so like the 8th, where we had just basically you'd come off the tees and then it would be a gumball rally, go everybody just go wherever you want. And certainly for golf carts, and then for the maintenance guys, there was no there was no order to that, and so consequently there was just this big scar on the landscape down there that was detracting from the backdrop. And we had that similar situation on the third, right? And the path just ran diagonally, come off the tees. Where's the next tee? 180 metres that way. Right, let's just bang a straight line right across.
Straightest line across there.
And again, the third it's just a big paddock there at the entrance to the club, and we thought, felt like we needed to add a little bit of visual temptation, or whet people's appetite a little bit for the golf course. And so that's where we scratched away and kept on scratching away and scratched away a little bit more. And that turf down there, again, not under irrigation, wasn't the best of nick anyway. And we wanted to add a lower forward tee, third hole, 200 metre par 3 is always a bit of a backup there, so everyone needs to kind of slide forward. And so addressing the rerouting of the cart path was one of the things. Lower forward tee, scratched open some of that waste feature that adds a little bit of visual interest to the hole.
100% right. I was never ever looking anywhere down there before. It was always at the hole and above to the backdrop as well. Certainly if you're playing in the afternoon.
And the bunkering around the green wasn't.
No.
There was 2 on the left that you couldn't really see, and 1 on the right that would catch everybody every time. And
that's the way to play the hole.
Then there was a whole heap of sunken areas where when they're building the course, they buried a lot of logs and slash and all that sort of stuff just off the edge of the fairways. So as that rots down, then there's all of these dumpy kind of hollows which become impossible to maintain and play out of. And so we needed to address all of those sorts of things. So the combination of recutting the bunkers, adding a front left corner of the green, which will be a spicy little pin, and rearranging the fairway corridors and encasing the bunkers on the left-hand side in short grass, whereas at left of the green, because of the predominant left to right breeze there, all the turf left of the green was pretty manky.
Yeah.
And so we've addressed all of the different mowing lines of the fairways and increased the big backstop on the right-hand side. So hopefully people, if you're watching this and you're playing the third, I encourage you to take 1 extra club on the third, because there's that big Daytona on the right-hand side where if you can hit that, and
there's no bunker in front of it now,
scoot it all around and back into the green. So that's the intention for the player that's probably playing a long club in there. Just hit as much as you can. It'll keep
work its way around
and swing it back into the green. For the better player who's trying to attack the flag stick, they've probably got to be challenged when it's on the left-hand side. They've got to challenge those bunkers.
Sweet. And so talk me through what we've done on the second this week as well.
Yeah, so this year we had 2 project weeks, only a few weeks apart, and again, makes sense kind of to jam the third and the second together, given that they are a duo of holes close to the clubhouse once again. Keeping the things going with the third, there was an opportunity for a left tee location behind the second green. That was pretty much just sitting there. There was a whole heap of agapanthus we needed to get out of the way. And
did you see it straight away?
Yeah, that was one of the things when 4 years ago when I walked out there, I went, man, this angle over here is pretty cool. If we could tidy up the bunkers and rearrange the fairways a little bit. I think the view from that angle, hole plays a bit shorter, but it's a totally different angle.
Just gives you a way different perspective on the hole line.
Yeah, so we added that tee on the back of the second. The other thing I thought for the second is that with it being a shortish par 5, and look, for the club player it's still a pretty honest 3-shot hole, but for the better player it's a 2-shot hole, and predominantly plays downwind with that southwesterly breeze, that the hole just needed a little bit extra architecture. There was 5 bunkers around the green, but it just seemed like you're just trying to avoid them rather than trying to navigate your way past them with some strategy. And whether there really wasn't a difference wherever the pin was on the green. There wasn't a difference of angle to profit from.
Yeah.
And so one of the key things that I notice is that the low trajectory or shorter hitter player, they'd do everything they could to avoid the front bunkers, but then they'd run straight into that bunker at the back.
Yeah.
And it was a big pain in the ass for them, right? And pretty similarly so the left one. And so, I mean, they're people that don't hit the ball more than 150 metres. Muriwai's a tough golf course. Golf's tough
Golf's
for
tough
those
in general for people that don't hit that far.
Exactly. So we probably didn't need to do anything to add extra difficulty on the second hole of the course for those people. But there was an opportunity to add a couple extra pins up on the back right-hand corner. And
but with taking away bunkers, and sort of adding bunkers or adding way series and everything else, it makes it way more of an intentional strategy for the hole, right? It feels like originally it was just kind of, scatter a bunker there and a bunker there. And
just avoid the bunkers.
It was just kind of like, you're just trying to play, where can I place it sort of away from the bunker, whereas it feels like now there's quite a clear, like you say, with the S shape, is you want to try and play around the hole. Yeah,
if you're really thinking of avoiding the bunkers, and we haven't addressed the fairway bunkers just yet, we just couldn't quite fit them into last week, but if you're thinking about avoiding the bunkers, you can kind of plot your way around avoiding the bunkers now, and it's a real serpentine feel to the hole, to the dog leg. But if you're a longer hitter and you're looking to try and capitalise on the holes, you probably need to challenge the bunkers. You need to try and hug the left ones off the tee, and then you need to probably hug the right ones, or the bunkering as we've arranged it now up by the green. And so that cross bunker, which was really nicely positioned, but couldn't kind of see much of it, and it wouldn't hide much of the green, the right-hand side of the green behind it. So we've had another one of those in the cross area, which is 50 metres short of the green, 50 metres short of the middle of the green. Made the right one a little bit more intentional and a little bit more visual. And then when we added this back corner of the green, what is it? Probably 150 to another 150 squares, 150 to 200 squares on the back of the green.
So that's at least how many squares we rolled out.
So the green's going to be big now. It's total size of the green's going to be 650, 700 squares.
Jeez.
So it's a big green, and probably opens it up to being a couple more 3-putts on that green, but hopefully we've made it a little bit easier for people to get there.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
We also added some waste on the left-hand side too, because a big part of the last couple of years is taking down all those trees in between 1 and 2. That was a huge piece of work that Harry envisaged, and so we took down a whole heap of pine trees and cleaned up just a whole heap of scrub. And
it just feels way more open, and obviously you want to try and have as many of those sort of sea views as you possibly can. I don't even remember thinking about seeing the ocean from that hole.
No.
Whereas now, you were turning over there and looking at how rough it was looking all week.
Yeah. So we've bunged a whole heap of native plants in there. We've got a few more to go in there over the next little while. There's a bit of a sand borrow pit that we're digging away at in there. But now that all the trees came down, the hole felt quite separated and quite distant from that area, and we wanted to connect those two zones. And so now we've filled in some of the sunken zones, the fairway can come over a little bit and sneak a bit closer to all of that that big area that has been ripped out of all the vegetation. And we've also added in a few scratchy waste areas along that left-hand margin as well, to just kind of make things connect a little bit better visually as much as they do from a playing perspective.
And just talking about all the stuff that we've kind of got done last week, in a short week, Monday to Thursday, is it nuts to think that right now golfers are playing on that hole? Yeah,
that's the Muriwai way. The golf course is pretty robust, and it's also the methodology that
because that club is so lucky, right?
Harry's come up with with the turfing. if we'd sown out all the areas that we'd worked on, it's another 4 months or so, and that's keeping your fingers crossed that the wind doesn't blow it away. But it's about another 3 to 4 months of growing, and then it's a little bit ginger to get started and all that sort of stuff. So having a big nursery and throwing the resources at it and just going hammers and tongs over the course of the week, we've got all that turf down, and over the next month to 6 weeks or so, that'll all bed in pretty nicely, and probably before summer we'll have a pin tucked up in that back right corner of the second.
That'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to what's coming up next.
Yeah, so am I.